But let's find out about Natalie now and see if hers is as good.
Right.
Okay, deep
Let
breath.
me just get her picture onto the screen here in front of me, because it doesn't even have to take a note.
You're
It's
going
nice to be able
widescreen.
to see the picture.
Oi!
Now, naughty. All right, this is interesting because this is quite unusual. It's almost like a letter T, and there's a line in the centre that's pointing down. The bullet points I've written here is, because it's weird, there's that mix between the two, so there's a slight element of confusion there. So what I've wrote here is that the fact that it's kind of the T part, it tends to indicate someone who's down to earth. Now, a good way of saying that is someone who calls a spade. A slightly more offensive way, and I apologise in advance, but I'm still going to say it, is someone who can be speaks before they think. Sometimes in everyday life, if you've said things and then thought, oh, perhaps I should have thought about that.
6:35 this morning.
Most
anyway.
days.
Yeah.
Carry
I
on.
would say you're the kind of person who doesn't take any, I can't use that word I've written down because
Nonsense.
it's a breakfast show.
Yeah.
Doesn't take
Rubbish.
any rubbish off people.
I have to say, Jonathan, there are bits in that again, with me, are pretty
Frightening,
accurate.
isn't it? It's weird.
It's very weird. I can't believe the things that you've come up with, and my husband will be delighted when you've talked about me taking no nonsense as a result of my belly button. Fascinating stuff.
Well, there'll be people now sort of checking their belly buttons.
I bet.
Don't do it if you're driving. But there will be
No,
people checking
no.
their belly buttons right now. And actually, what we need to help people out so they can have a look at theirs. Can you give us next some kind of general rules for everybody so we can all take a look at our belly buttons today and go, do you know what? Actually, this means I'm introverted, extroverted, or whatever. Can we do that next?
Yeah,
All right,
of
love
course.
it. Talk to you after this.
Thanks, Jonathan. So we're back with our belly button reader, Jonathan, and we're going to find out what our belly buttons say about us. Now, we've both sent Jonathan pictures of our belly buttons, but I believe, Stu, you're going to be read first.
Ah, right, okay. So, before you start, did my belly button look okay? I believe I'm actually asking you this.
Yeah, indeed. These are what I see, and then I'll explain kind of what that means. So the mid-area of it appears to be what I would call an innie, in so much as it's pointing inwards. Now, don't make any comment just yet, because
Okay.
otherwise that appears like you're giving me clues, and I've already got this written down.
Okay.
So it's kind of an innie-ish, which tends to mean the more your belly button goes inwards, the more introverted you are. However, you can't take that isolated on its own. It makes more sense with the other stuff. So the bullet points that I wrote down for you, Stuart, are that I get the impression from this is generally that would indicate to me someone who's a very deep thinker. I would say very analytical, and it's like it's almost trying to hide something. So I'd say this kind of indicates someone who you're probably very guarded, but guarded in the sense of some people trust people way too easily. You don't. It takes a long time till you'll let somebody sort of into the real Stuart, the real you. It's probably even your very close friends rarely see the true way that things actually deeply affect you.
Jonathan, let me stop you there because that is frighteningly accurate on certain levels. I would say I'm quite guarded in my personal life. I would say it takes me a long time to trust people. I mean, I've been working for Natalie for 2 years.
Working for. Did you hear that? The Freudian slip.
I'm working for her for 2 years. And quite frankly, you know, like, now she only just found out where I live.
That's true. Never had me round for dinner,
No,
honestly.
I'm kidding. But the thing is, so that I mean, you know, the parts of that are frighteningly accurate, and I find it very hard to believe you can tell that from my belly button. But up next, it's Natalie's turn. Let's see what her belly button reveals about herself. So stay there, and we'll talk again after this.
Nervous. All right, bye.
Bye.
Right, now, here's the thing, Jonathan. We thought we'd put you to work straight away because Antoinette got in touch with us.
Hello, Antoinette.
Good morning.
Morning, Carl.
Morning.
What a thing to ask you, eh?
So we need you to, as accurately as you can, describe your belly button.
Right, the top bit kind of pokes out and the bottom bit goes in, so it almost looks like a nose.
All right, well, I mean, there's not a huge amount to go off there, but I'm going to say, because of that, that would tend to mean someone who could be very artistic. The bottom area of the belly button, if that's going inwards, taking the general rule of that being introverted, it tends to mean the physical action would be more being shy or introverted or not as quick. So the word I want to use, and if this sounds rude, I apologise, but procrastination. Yeah, so it's like having all those wonderful ideas, but then butting one off because you've got another idea that's even better. I can imagine you'd very much be the life and soul of a party.
Jonathan, so can we let's find out quickly now from Antoinette how accurate that is so far.
That is quite me. I am quite loud and, excitable, and I'm full of good ideas, but it is the fact of I never get one finished sort of thing. It is quite accurate.
I'm astonished. Are you, Antoinette, astonished that you can tell that from your belly button?
I am, actually, because when he was I was like, are you sure you can't see me? Are you sure you've never met me before?
Exactly. Just goes to show you. All right, brilliant. Well, thank you for taking part in that little experiment.
Thank you.
And, well, I think that's it. Let's go for it, shall we? Because we've got some rules here.
Yep.
And if you're listening to that and you're thinking, well, come on, it's worked for Antoinette, maybe it could work for me. We'd love a description of your belly button, please.
Just text radio, send it to 82122.
Are you all right with that, Jonathan?
Fantastic, yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Good morning to you.
I have to ask, because this is the most surreal interview I think we've ever done. How on earth did you become a specialist in reading belly buttons?
It was a bit odd, to be honest, as you can imagine. Many years ago now, when I was sort of 14, I was doing tarot reading on psychic fairs and stuff, and I realised that you needed some sort of gimmick to get attention and get people to come over to your stand.
Yeah.
And bizarrely at the time I was reading a couple of books, but the two where this came from, one was on the Native American Indians and their belief system called shamanism, and one was on energy points in the body called chakras. But then in this book I noticed there was one, the base chakra, that's kind of practically in line with the belly button.
But Jonathan, the problem I have with it, and maybe you can convince me otherwise, is that if you tell that by someone's belly button, right, what happens if the nurse was just having a bad day and she did, like, a bit of a messy knot, the midwife, and, because surely that's then influencing what you're going to tell me.
Yeah, you know what, a lot of people say that, and that's where the Native American Indians' beliefs come into it twofold. One is that, with reference to photographs that you've sent me, because obviously this is way easier to do when you physically can be with somebody, but the
to be honest with us,
Indians...
we weren't sure about a stranger touching our belly buttons, so we thought...
I had to be convinced to even take the picture and send it you, to be honest.
You thought you do it at a safe distance.
Yeah, just to begin with. Anyway, sorry.
But yeah, they believe that when you have your photograph taken, or a painting, because obviously they didn't have cameras then, or a painting or a portrait done, that takes some of your life energy into the picture.
Right.
So if that was to be true, then that means there is some of your energy, as you like, in that image, making it possible to get a sense, but obviously not as good as if you were there in person. That's one side. The other side is they believe that everything in life happens for a reason.
We like that one.
So if the nurse, don't matter what was going on in her day, if she did a messier job than normal, say, with the umbilical cord, it happened for a reason.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So it is feasible that it happens for a reason, and therefore that reason is because what you end up with is right for you.
So, if we don't like what you're going to tell us next about our belly buttons and what's happening, let's just blame the nurse, Nat, all right? We'll say it was down to her. She was having a bad day.
Okay, fine.
It could be that you just don't want to admit the truth.
I think we should put this out there. So if you want to know what your belly button says about you, text radio, describe your belly button as best you can. Send that to 82122.